All right, it is a freezing winter day here in Kentucky. I thought this was super unfair. It is -2 this morning, feels like -13. And I checked on the weather in Sitka, Alaska, and it was a balmy 43 or 45 degrees. How unfair is that, man? I'm making a viola for you guys, and it's like freezing down here, and you guys are like living the life in winter. I'm just teasing because I probably can't survive an Alaskan winter, but it's really cold here. Our region gets a lot of these kind of like hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, and then it freezes for a long time. So we've had snow for a few weeks, and it's really cold. Anyways, today we're going to talk about the inlay on the back of the viola. And this is a really interesting part of the project for me because if you guys haven't followed along on the Sitka violin, watch those, you'll understand more of this context. But my friends Connie and Marcel, the people that instigated this whole relationship and reached out for me to make the violin, when we made the violin, they had the request to put in the stained glass window as an inlay on the back of the violin. And I thought it turned out great. I was really excited about how conceptually it worked and how visually it worked. And so when Marcel said he wanted to do a viola, I was really excited for the opportunity and to continue this relationship. But he gave a little bit of pressure, unbeknownst to him probably. He said he wanted me to decide on what went on the outside, the inlay of the violin, based on my experience in Alaska. Myself and my kids flew up to Alaska this last summer and spent some time up there in Sitka, and it was an amazing opportunity of a lifetime for us. There's no way I could have provided that for my family. And so we went up there and toured around, met some great people, saw some amazing things. And I had to think about that the whole time of like, what am I going to put on the back of this viola that represents my experience in Alaska? And I think a number of people gave ideas. They were like, oh man, you could do a bald eagle, and you could do a salmon, or you could do all this stuff that related to nature or trees and a lot of stuff. And I took loads of pictures. I thought a lot. But I'll tell you what I decided on while I was there. And I've been kind of keeping it a secret. And I'm excited to see it kind of come to fruition. And that is, when we were hosted there, we were at Connie's house, Connie and Marcel's house. And the first day we were there, we had breakfast. And she was kind enough to make these amazing pancakes and stuff, or waffles. And we had people sitting around the table. And we had the best conversation for a couple hours. And then we had dinner there. We had a new group of people there, and we had great conversation. And we got to really witness kind of the love and compassion of that community, and got to be introduced to some new friends and some new people. And so I thought a lot about that the first couple days we were there, and just seeing that play out in the lives of Connie and Marcel and Zach and all the people, Rebecca, and all the people in that amazing community. And so I was really interested in Connie's table. We were helping set the table for something, and I commented on how pretty the chairs and the table were, and she told me about this table of hers that is, not to say a family heirloom, but it's an old table in her family. And I can't remember the specifics, so don't fault me. I got really excited though I peeked under the table and I took some pictures. So I'll show these here. And I determined I wanted to do something about where we put our feet under the table, because that was the most impactful and beautiful part of our trip. The nature, stunning. Whale Island, and seeing all the stuff out there at Don and Penny's house and all these places that they took us, it was amazing. But there was something really warming and beautiful beyond nature to me, of how people treated each other there, and how people embraced each other there, and how we laughed and talked and formed something quite lovely. And so I kind of wanted to honor that and look at Connie's table, specifically the carving that's on that table. And I'd gone through a lot of iterations. I was originally going to do like this oval kind of wreath thing with a image of their house, Connie and Marcel's house, for the architecture, because Marcel and his son and people and everybody there built that house. But I didn't know how I felt about that after Marcel passed, and with the home. And because I know that home is going to go through transitions and times right now. So I really focused on the bow. There's this lovely little weird bow. Looks like this. You saw it in the pictures. I redrew it to scale on the back of the viola, large scale. And I really like it just as the bow. And I think it kind of sums up part of this gift and part of this adornment. And I think it'll be really beautiful. So I'm going to do a couple of different things on here that I didn't do on the last one. I traced this drawing that I did. So I just freehanded it and drew it on the viola, traced it, digitized it, redrew it in Illustrator, and cut out all the pieces digitally. And so now I have all the pieces ready. I could cut them by hand, but the woods that I'm using kind of fray under a fine saw, and I'd like to get some of these interesting bits in here. So I cut them out, not by hand, but what I am going to do is I'm going to hand hot sand shade them. So I'll be heating up sand and actually toning the wood and scorching it to create some value and depth in there, because the bow on this table is carved in relief, but I can't do that on the viola. So I have to somehow give the illusion of depth. And I can do that through lots of little pieces, but then it's gonna look like a jigsaw puzzle, and I don't want that. So I'm gonna be using the three following woods in the image. I'll be using some crabapple, which is on the sides, the sea boughs. I'll be using some yellow cedar for the highlights in the ribbon to make it kind of pop and stand out. And then some walnut. It's not from Alaska, it's from me. But for the little rings and kind of the dark areas. We'll see how this goes. I may change those wood selections, but I want them to contrast the mountain ash and all the grain and swirly stuff. So I'm trying to keep the grain really simple and the colors really clean. So I'll get some footage here of assembly and show you all the little pieces. But man, I'm excited about this. I think this is gonna be pretty cool.